Hey everybody, and welcome to another installment of Shop Talk. As always, I'm Michael Stoops, and today we want to talk to you a little bit about maintaining your ceramic coating, the proper care and feeding of those ceramic coatings, whether it be our own M888 Beyond Ceramic, our Ultimate Ceramic Coating Spray, or any other coating that you may have applied to your vehicle already. You know, ceramic coatings are fantastic because of their tremendous durability, sometimes multi-year, and you get the multi-year easier if you actually take care of the coating, like we're going to talk about today. But also that tremendous improvement in overall protection that you get from them over traditional waxes and sealants, and the kind of insane level of water beading that comes with them that actually helps to keep the car cleaner, or it makes it that much easier to wash and dry the vehicle when that time comes. Ceramic coatings, however, are still a sacrificial barrier, just like waxes and sealants. They're just a whole lot better at it. Because they're a sacrificial barrier, you still want to take care of them because things can and will happen to a coating if you don't take care of it properly. You know, long gone are the days of these kind of false claims, things like, hey, put a ceramic coating on your car, you never have to do anything to it again. Put a ceramic coating on your car and it'll prevent scratches and water spots and bird drop etchings. Put a ceramic coating on your car and just wash it every so often and you're good to go. That kind of stuff we now all pretty much understand really is not accurate any longer because it's a sacrificial barrier still, okay? So if you ignore that, if you think that your coating is going to be impervious to pretty much anything and everything, and so you just kind of let it go, stuff is going to happen over time. If you run it through a cheap automatic car wash, one that's not maintained properly, it's got the old style brushes, it's going to scratch that coating. If you wash your car with an old beach towel, you're probably going to put fine scratches in that coating and mar it. If you don't wash it and bird droppings land on it, they will get in and etch the coating. Yes, these fine scratches, these etch marks and things like that are in the coating, not in the paint, because the coating is doing a great job of protecting the paint. But the paint, the vehicle, isn't going to look as good as you probably want it to at that point. And so if you have to correct it, that means you're going to remove that expensive coating that you put on. And when we talk about expensive coating, that's not a negative dig at coatings. I mean, they do outperform waxes and sealants by a pretty strong margin, so it's not a big surprise that the cost of entry is a fair bit higher. A really good high quality synthetic sealant like our own Ultimate Liquid Wax is what, maybe roughly $20 a bottle, and you can get like 10 applications out of it. So you're looking at about $2 a treatment. And if you're applying it with a machine, you can wax your car in about 15 minutes with something like that. If you're using a ceramic coating and you're doing it yourself, you're looking at probably an investment of about $100 for one small bottle of ceramic coating. And that's going to be usually one application. So just in that alone, it's a fair bit more expensive, which means you probably want to take care of it a little bit better. If you're having it professionally applied, you may be looking at $750 to $2,000 or even more, which is fairly common to have a ceramic coating professionally applied after all the prep and everything goes. So it becomes even more important at that point to not only protect the coating, but now you're kind of protecting your investment at the same time. Because if you don't take care of it, all those things are going to happen. Those fine scratches, the etchings from the bird droppings. If you don't wash it frequently enough, industrial fallout and other stuff kind of gets into that coating and sticks into it, and it plugs it, so to speak. And the coating looks like it's not performing the way you were expecting it to. Which leads a lot of people to think that the coating's worn off or the coating has failed or something else, when really it's just kind of plugged and hasn't been properly maintained. So with that in mind, let's get into some of the do's and don'ts of maintaining a ceramic coating properly. And it's pretty straightforward. All right, so with all that said, let's talk about some do's and don'ts, proper ways to take care of your ceramic coating, and of course, some things that you should probably avoid. First and foremost, you want to wash that vehicle regularly. You know, we have talked about this for years and years and years, even before ceramic coatings. But even with a ceramic coating, it's important that you wash that vehicle regularly to protect the coating from those attacks, the etchings from bird droppings and swirl marks and things like that. Yes, it will protect better than waxes and sealants, but bird droppings that etch will still get through that coating, so you want to get those off as soon as possible. And then other environmental attacks, fallout and things like that, you want to get that off the vehicle as quickly as possible to keep that coating from getting, as we say, plugged and kind of not performing the way it should be. So you really want to stick with a good quality pH balanced or pH neutral shampoo like we always talk about. Yes, most ceramic coatings are pretty stout, pretty strong when it comes to dealing with more aggressive chemicals, right? Acids and alkaline cleaners and things like that. I mean, even with our own M888, we've got a video where we show it being repeatedly washed with an acid-based wheel cleaner and an alkaline-based wheel cleaner. That's all fine and well, but you don't want to keep doing that all the time to a coating. They're not impervious, they're not going to last forever if you do that. Now, if you live in a part of the country or a part of the world where the roads are getting salted in the winters and you've got some touchless car washes in your area, those use kind of an acid wash and an alkaline wash to get various types of dirt off the vehicle. That's fine and great to take your ceramic coated vehicle through those washes. But if you're doing it yourself at home, really good idea is to stick with something like our hybrid ceramic wash and wax, because this contains that SiO2 base that keeps that water beading at a really high level. I mean, this is great to use even if your vehicle's not coated, but if it's coated, you want to stick with something like this, or if you're using a different shampoo, say for example our Gold class, then it's a really good idea to go in and use something like our hybrid ceramic quick detailer as a drying aid when it comes time to dry that vehicle. Now, drying the vehicle and even washing means you want to use good quality tools, wash mitt, towels, things like that. Microfiber is always going to be your best friend because A, very absorbent, does a great job at pulling dirt away from the vehicle surface. That helps to minimize scratching, as do the microfiber towels when you are drying that vehicle. In fact, a nice waffle weave microfiber like our water magnet is a great way, in conjunction with the hybrid ceramic quick detailer, to dry that vehicle very quickly. But look, if your coating is really behaving well and it's beating water like crazy, a great way to dry that vehicle is to, after your final rinse, take the nozzle off the hose and just let a steady stream of water run over the surfaces, and you will remove the vast majority of the water, and then you can pretty much dry your car with a leaf blower or something similar and really minimize touching it. I know it sounds like we're trying to be almost overly protective of a coating, almost more so than sometimes you hear people talking about taking care of the paint. But again, you've got a pretty sizable investment probably in that coating and of course in the vehicle itself. So you want to do everything that you can to really minimize creating any of those kind of micro marring or finer defects. Something like our M888 Beyond Ceramic is so slick that that slickness actually helps to minimize the creation of fine towel marks and swirl marks because stuff just kind of glides off it. That doesn't mean that you can get kind of sloppy when it comes to your towels, okay? You want to stick with quality materials when you're working on that vehicle surface. Something else that you want to do, we had mentioned the hybrid ceramic quick detailer. These are a great way to remove light dust and fingerprint smudges, as well as drying aid, as we'd mentioned. And while theoretically you could use any quick detail spray to remove that light dust between washes, keep in mind that the last product that you put on the paint is going to give certain characteristics to that surface. A quick detail spray that does not contain SiO2 is probably not going to bead water the way the coating would. So you would not damage the coating, but you could mask it. It's almost like having a perfect photograph that's in really razor sharp focus and then putting a really thin sheet over it. You can still see the photograph, but it's not quite in focus anymore. So if you use a more standard or traditional quick detail spray, It's a great product, but it's not going to bead water the same way, so it may make that coating look like it's degraded a bit when in fact it hasn't. You're just masking it or hiding it to some degree. So stick with a ceramic quick detail spray, or even something like our M799, the hybrid ceramic bead booster. And this, in fact, you can use as kind of a routine touch-up product, perhaps every 2 or 3 months. After you've washed and dried the vehicle, go ahead and with a couple of microfiber towels, give a full treatment to all the painted surfaces of the vehicle with that M799, and that'll really boost things up, because that's a pretty darn durable product on its own. But it'll really help to enhance and prolong the life of any ceramic coating that you might have on your vehicle. Super easy to use. You can do a full-size vehicle in probably 10 minutes with it, maybe even less if you've got some practice doing things like that, and it goes a long way to really helping keep a ceramic coating at a very high level. You know, something else that you might want to think about doing, and it's something that you probably like to do with your car most of the time anyways, and that's when you're not using it, park it in a protected area, in a garage, under a carport, to keep things from landing on it, sticking to it, and creating some of those problems that we've talked about, right? Over time, things will happen to the surface of your car. I mean, let's face it, you're driving down a freeway at speed with a bunch of other vehicles. There's debris that gets kicked up. There's fallout that happens. Anything that you can do to keep that vehicle protected when it's parked is going to go a long way to helping with that. Remember, it's still a sacrificial barrier, and over time, things are going to happen to it. Now, there are a few things that you probably want to avoid in order to really maintain that ceramic coating, to keep it beading water the way you want it to keep it looking really good, and to avoid really compromising it. And chief among those, we've kind of already touched on it, is to avoid those automatic car washes that are poorly maintained, or are using those old style brushes that just go slapping against the car. And I mean, it's loud inside the vehicle through those washes, because they're just so abrasive. They're so harsh on the vehicle. That doesn't mean that all automatic car washes are bad. Now, there are some that are really well maintained and that do a pretty darn admirable job. But you know, if it looks scary, don't run your car through it, because that is going to scratch that coating. So avoid those, or seek out a really good one near you if you can find one. Something else that you really want to avoid is any kind of abrasive cleaner or other product to put on the vehicle. That means we really don't want to clay a ceramic coating. Clay is technically an abrasive process that removes above surface bonded contaminants. Claying will probably create some micro marring in that coating, and there really isn't any way to get rid of that. Because how do you get rid of micro marring on the paint? You use a compound or polish. The problem with these is they don't play well with ceramic coatings. Why? Because they remove ceramic coatings. So if you get some fine scratches or swirl marks, or you mar it with clay, and you go at it with a compound or polish, fantastic as these are, they're going to remove that coating, and that's not what you want to do. So that just kind of reverts back to all the things we said you do want to do to avoid creating those problems in the first place, because trying to correct them becomes kind of problematic. Speaking of clay, you also don't want to use any of those clay substitute towels or mitts or anything like that. They tend to be even more aggressive than traditional clay, so the marring potential goes up even more so. So avoid those pretty much at all costs. You don't want to use an additional wax or sealant on top of a ceramic coating. Something like our Gold Class Carnauba Plus, fantastic Carnauba wax. It's been loved for years because of the way it makes darker colors look, that real rich, wet look to it. But it won't bead water the same way a ceramic coating will. It will mask that water beading characteristic, that surface tension of the ceramic coating, and it won't bead water the way you expect it to, which may lead you to think that the wax removed the coating. It didn't, it's just hiding it. A cleaner wax, like our 3-in-1, this will actually compromise the coating. It'll start to strip some of it off. And if you're thinking, what about something like our hybrid ceramic liquid wax on top of your ceramic coating? Why not? They're both ceramic. Well, I suppose theoretically you could. This probably isn't going to bond to the coating quite the way you would expect it to bond to your paint, so its durability may well be compromised. It won't compromise the water beading of the coating because it provides that same kind of water beading. It's probably more a waste of time. You're better off using a spray product like our $7.99 or the hybrid ceramic quick detailer. You don't want to mask that ceramic coating. You want to keep it clean and open, which means don't let contaminants sit on it for an extended period of time. If you're thinking, oh, I've got a ceramic coating, it's gonna help protect the paint even better, it's not gonna let this stuff through. Well, over time, it will let that stuff through. A bird dropping that can etch your paint can and will etch your ceramic coating. And yes, it's getting the coating, it's not getting the paint yet. But it's also not gonna look good. And part of the reason you put a ceramic coating on your vehicle in the first place, you wanted it to look good. It's not gonna look good with swirl marks, scratches, etchings from bird droppings. You can't really fix those without removing the coating. So avoid any of those abrasive products. Avoid putting something on top of the coating that may mask it or hide it or otherwise compromise its ability to do the job that you are expecting from it. Really easy to avoid these kind of things. Really easy to do the tips and tricks that we talked about earlier on in the video to maintain that coating and keep it looking its best. So now that you've been taking care of that coating the way you should be taking care of it, and you're avoiding the things that you should be avoiding, you know, you're still out there enjoying the vehicle, it's still getting exposure, and things are going to accumulate over time. So every so often, maybe a couple of times a year, you want to give that vehicle a decontamination wash. Something like our D1801, the wheel and paint iron decontamination. This is a great way to remove a lot of that fallout from the surface of the vehicle. It will kind of unclog that coating, if you will, because a lot of that stuff kind of embeds in there. It gets into the pores, and yes, it's porous. And that will kind of alter the surface tension, which is where you get the water beading from. So if you can clean that out without an abrasive process, this works great to do that. Or you could even pick up our iron removing spray clay, spray the vehicle down with this after you've washed it, lightly go over it with a wash mitt, rinse it off. You'll see that purple color change with both of these products. And that lets you know that it's working and it's removing those deposits that have kind of embedded themselves into that coating. You shouldn't have to do this more than maybe a couple of times a year to really bring that coating back to kind of its full potential, as it were. But if something does really happen to that coating or to an area on the vehicle, maybe you get a little scratch on a fender or a front bumper or something, and it's really annoying you and you have to have it gone. You know, we said to avoid compounds and polishes, but if you get a scratch like that, that's the only way you're gonna get rid of it, right? It's gonna take the coating away with it. But that's where something like our ultimate ceramic coating spray comes in really handy, because if you've got that isolated scratch, you can buff out that entire panel real quick, and then you can apply this just to that panel, and you'll end up kind of restoring, as it were, putting a fresh coating at a very, very minimal cost and very minimal effort to that affected panel, and it's still going to behave the same as the rest of the vehicle at that point. So super quick and easy to do, and the ultimate ceramic coating spray will take that panel that you just treated, it'll take it back to behaving like the rest of the vehicle. It's a true ceramic coating. You'll still get that crazy level of water beading that makes everything so easy to maintain and take care of, and still get that fantastic level of protection. So keep in mind when you're dealing with your coating, I guess the simplest rule of thumb is treat it the way you'd want to treat your paint. It's protecting the paint. It's protecting it a lot better than traditional waxes and sealants would, but you want to take care of it pretty much the same way you take care of your paint, just to prolong the life, to protect your investment, and to keep that paint looking as good as it possibly can for as long as it possibly can. If you've got any questions for us, you can drop them in the comments down below. You can always reach out to our Solutions Hub. Phone number's on the back of every bottle of product that we make. The guys are actually right upstairs from where we're shooting this, and they'll talk you through this or any other product or process. You know, we're always available on social media. Pick a channel, we're there, and we'll take questions, we'll help you out with everything. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, do it now, get notified, and check back. We've got more coming all the time. Got a huge library already out there. Thanks for joining us today, and we can't wait to see you at the next one. Stay shiny, everybody.